We've got Mr. Chandrasekhar, who is S. Chandrasekhar, member of India Against Corruption in Hyderabad. Now, viewers in Hyderabad and across the nation will remember some of the largest ever processions, gatherings, human congregations have been in Hyderabad. What is driving these people, Mr. Chandrasekhar? And will these numbers only grow in the next few days if the fast continues?
No way, no way. No way, no way, Arnav. No way, Arnav. Thank you very much for getting us on. This is something that which I want to make it very clear. On the contrary, it is instead of going down, apparent signs are that it is likely to go up on next couple of days because we are waiting for Annaji's call. What is the future programs to be? Just a couple of minutes ago, he said that we should all, Gero ministers at their residences to see that, they come onto their knees, and it will be happening in a big way. We started off with very few numbers, few days, first couple of days. Now, today, rally at Hyderabad. I'm sure you had a close look at the visuals. It was close to 15,000. They're swelling like nobody's business, and it is all likely that it is going to swell furthermore. And we are chalking out our plan in long run, and it is not likely to die down as much as they think. On the contrary, government should be alerted very quickly. Government should be alerted very quickly. Their managers are mismanaging.
Okay, here's Rahul Bhartia, who's joining us from Chandigarh, coordinator of India Against Corruption from Chandigarh. Rahul, tell me, how will you ensure this continues to be peaceful? Who's doing the crowd management? There cannot be a single instance of unruly behavior when you have a movement like this. I'm sure you're conscious of it.
Well, whomsoever is attending the movement, whomsoever is participating in the movement, they are connecting with the thoughts of Anna. And if somebody is connecting with the thoughts of Anna, he has to be very peaceful. So, whomsoever is coming with us, he is giving us a pledge that if he or she is going to be there, they are going to make this sure that if Anna is saying things that we have to be peaceful, we have to be non-violent, then we have to coordinate the things accordingly.
Well, that is extremely important to do that. Harish Salve has also been watching on. He's had strong views against the manner in which, though not the end. Yeah, one sec. May I just...
it is...
Okay.
Arnav, it is true time and again, whatever Anna said, his army anywhere in the country is absolutely disciplined. That is what I want to make a point.
Now here's Harish Salve, former Solicitor General. Mr. Salve, I'm sure you're seeing the manner in which this protest is swelling up. Initially it was said this is simply a media creation, etc. Mr. Salve, can you hear me? Okay, I'm not getting Mr. Salve on. Let me get in the young advocate of the Supreme Court, Prashanto Sen. Prashanto, what is your take on this?
Yes, Arunabh. Everyone is against corruption, and the fact that there's so much protest all over shows that everyone is fed up of corruption. The issue is the manner in which we have to bring about an effective and strong Lokpal bill. That is the issue. Now, the idea is that everyone, for example, just to take an analogy, wants a beautiful building. How is it to be constructed? That is the issue.
Okay.
Is it to be done by a properly qualified architect, or can it just be done generally?
Who checks the qualifications?
And our point throughout, and as I have been, let everyone wants a beautiful building, but let the architects do their job.
Who's checking the qualifications? That's the question. Who's checking the qualifications? Who decides who's right and who's wrong, who's qualified and who's not? I'm going to go to Harish Salve. Harish Salve, Sri Ravi Shankar is speaking there right now, and this movement is gathering greater and greater momentum. My question to you is, however strong the views of people are against this form of protest, A, this is democratic. B, this is peaceful. C, it is massive, Mr. Salve. Nothing like this has been seen in recent times. Now, what should the government do?
Therefore, the Lokpal bill is right, is it? Is that your argument?
No, I'm just saying, what should the government do?
No, I want to ask you, because you've been running this like a campaign, please tell me, does all this mean that the provisions of the Lokpal bill are correct? Arnab, this movement is middle-class revulsion against the corrupt politics which we see shoved down our throat day in and day out. I am very happy to see the strength of this movement. I wonder if you remember on your channel in 2009, at the election time when we had a discussion with some political friends. When I said something sharply critical of politicians, they all told me that I have a disconnect with the real world. I hope they are seeing the numbers which are gathering. All of us feel equally strongly that this protest against corruption and against lack of governance is called for. But the numbers don't mean that the bill which they are propounding is correct or their demand is correct.
No, Mr. Salve.
That's the real issue.
Mr. Salve, here's a situation. Here's a situation. Tell me, Mr. Salve.
I have a take on.
1 minute. Before I
have a take.
1 minute, sir.
I have a
1
take.
minute. I'll come to you. My simple question to you is, Mr. Salve. If this had no popular support, now you have two views. You say that just because something has popular support doesn't mean that it is recognized. Right? That's your basic
Correct.
argument. But can you tell me, Mr. Salve, in your clearest thinking, just because something has popular support, should it also not be given an opportunity to be debated upon A, be voted upon
I
B,
agree.
be taken up for consideration,
No.
consideration
One
equally
minute.
C, or can a government, just because it has been elected 2.5 months back, say today, that we were elected 2.5 months back, let's meet after another 2.5 years. Does that logic apply?
I think the logic fails because none of
Good,
you
that's the
have
point.
ever agreed to debating this bill clause by clause. I just heard Mr. Prashant Bhushan announce that lakhs and crores of the people have discussed this bill and approved it. So why debate it? Why bother? Right? That's the attitude. Why bother?
Okay.
See, as far as the government is concerned, let's be very clear. Their conduct is such which has created this movement. The government has clearly given a message to the people that they promised
Absolutely
something
correct.
and they have done.
Absolutely.
Yes,
There is no doubt about it.
Mr.
This
Sa-
problem is of the government's creation. So if their neck is in the noose, so be it. They possibly deserve
Sure.
it.
Now here's
What
another.
concerns me is the Jan Lokpal bill which
yeah.
throws our constitution into the dustbin. You have to be careful about that.
Here's one point, Mr. Salve. Here's one point. We talk about representative society. 1 minute, Mr. Sarge, I'm coming to you. I also need to go to Ramlila live, but one point I want you, Mr. Salve. It is impossible for any news organization not to cover the largest ever swathe of protests across the country and to dismiss it as middle class mania, to dismiss it as media creation, etc. will not be appropriate, and it could equally be asked with same government talks to unrepresentative pro-Pakistan Hurriyat elements and includes them in talks, and in fact wants them included and flies down, it sends its representatives to talk to them and says that is the democratic system. To the people who support the stone throwing in Kashmir, it supports them and says that's part of our democratic experiment. The same politicians who put the shutters on cinema screens down last week when Arakshan was going to be shown said it is within our democratic rights to do that. The same politicians cannot have a different take just because this is inconvenient to them. I'm going to Ramlila. I'm taking an answer after that from Harish Salve. I'm debating this with you, Mr. Salve, tonight. I want to debate this with you. I'm coming back from Ramlila grounds in 2 minutes.
टीम को बहुत बधाई देता हूं। लाख इल्जाम के बाद भी ये मुस्कुराते अपना सिर उठा के डटे रहे, अपना काम करते रहे, झुके नहीं, विश्वास के साथ आगे बढ़ते रहे। मैं इनको कहूंगा भगवान इनको शक्ति दे और मजबूत करें, और देश में बहुत सुधार लाने की बहुत सी बातें हैं। इलेक्ट्रोल सिस्टम में सुधार लाने की बात है। कोई व्यक्ति 11-12% लेकर से चुन के आते हैं, मगर 11% के ही वो प्रतिनिधित्व कर रहे हैं, मगर बाकी जो 80% लोग हैं उनके खिलाफ में वोट दिए हुए होते हैं। इसलिए कोई भी ये नहीं कह सकता मैं सारा जनता का प्रतिनिधित्व कर रहा हूं। यदि कोई कर रहा हो कि ऐसे व्यक्ति जिनको अपने लिए कुछ नहीं चाहिए, जिनके जीवन में त्याग ही त्याग है, प्रेम है सबके लिए और निष्ठा है, मैं फिर से आप सबको बधाई देता हूं। मुझे आप बहुत खुशी हो रही है। लाखों करोड़ों जनता इतना संयम के साथ बर्ताव कर रहे हो, एक रोष है मगर होश भी साथ में है। आप सबको फिर से बधाई देते हुए मेरे वाणी को समापन करता हूं। ओम शांति, वंदे मातरम।
Okay, here's Harish Salve taking a response from Harish Salve to the point I made there earlier. Who decides what is representative? Is the Hurriyat representative? Were the politicians who were putting shutters down on Arakshan all over the country in different places, were they representative? And this is a non-violent protest. Yes, Mr. Salve.
Well, Arnab, as far as the Constitution of India is still in place, I don't know how long it will be if this Jan Lokpal bill ever were to become law. But if the Constitution of India is to remain in place, then the laws will still be made by those whom we elect and send to Parliament. However
Certainly.
disagreeable you and I may find that.
No, there's no disagreement at all on that.
So,
there is no disagreement at all on that, but law is not made in a vacuum.
So then what's this question about who is representative?
No,
What is this
law
rhetorical question you're asking me about who
is not made in a vacuum. Laws have to respond to the need of the times, and Mr. Salve, you have been one of the most outspoken
Look
critics
here, laws
of
have
the
to
institutionalized
respond.
corruption
You're
in this
absolutely
country.
right. Laws have to respond to the need of the times
I have
sensibly.
something.
When the Constitution of India was drafted, it was not drafted by men on the street or a coterie of five. It was drafted after a constitutional expert very carefully put it together. It was debated.
And
for
this is exactly
couple of
the
years
argument
by
here, Mr.
Constituent
Salve.
Assembly, and then it was drafted.
Here it is.
So you can't force that my Lokpal
No,
bill
certainly
or,
not. Certainly not. There cannot be any force feeding in a democracy. But Mr. Salve,
that's the argument we
they
are
have a
hearing
right to be
endlessly,
heard in
Arnab.
Parliament.
That's the argument we
No,
are
but
hearing.
they have a right to be heard in Parliament.
1 point.
They have a right to be heard in Parliament. They were promised they would get a hearing in
They have a
Parliament.
right to be heard.
But they're not getting
one of
that.
the opposition MPs is moving that bill as a private member's
A
amendment.
private member's bill, Mr. Salve,
Salve,
since 1968 has not been passed in Parliament for the last 43 years. 97% of private members'
Very
bills
right,
are not
very
even
right.
discussed.
You want the
Mr. Salve.
government? Look at the theatre of the absurd, Arnab. The government tables the Jan Lokpal bill and then says we are tabling a bill with which we disagree. Is that how Parliament is going to be run?
You didn't answer my question on the private members' bill. You said it's being introduced as a private members' bill. That's a farce, Mr. Salve.
So
That's a farce.
If the majority of the members are for the Jan Lokpal bill, they will pass it.
Tell me, Mr. Salve, in that case, will parties issue whips? Do parties ever issue whips for private members' bills? Do they ever issue whips?
If they want to, they will. If they
Have they done so in 43 years?
So therefore, Arnab,
there is one more point which I want to make. Arnav, at this
Mr.
point.
Salve, you're getting a
Don't
rebut,
dictate
and
to
this
Parliament
rebut
how
is
they
coming
must
from
make
Mr.
laws. It's a wrong
Chandrasekhar in
precedent.
Hyderabad. Mr. Chandrasekhar in Hyderabad wants to respond to you. Go on.
Arnav, one thing what I don't understand, or rather I fail to understand, is that who is making this law? That is, in the Parliament, those are the one who are elected by the people of this country, right? And they are representing us sitting there in the Parliament, and they are our voice. According to me, they are supposed to be the voice of this nation. And if there is any law is supposed to be made for the public, they are supposed to be making out of that kind of representation. They are doing it in the Parliament. If suppose the public is required to have a Jan Lokpal bill to strengthen the corruption law, or for that matter the Whistleblower Act, or the recovery of black money, and it is a voice heard by the people from outside, and the same representatives who are sitting in the Parliament should convey this one to the lawmakers and see that it is made as a law. Why they are afraid?
Mr. Salve.
I am not able to understand that. Always they say we are subverting the Parliament. We never subverted the Parliament. Annaji was saying very clearly, this country's representatives sitting in the Parliament should hear the people's voice. This is what Anna is doing, and this is the people's voice. If they don't listen to that, consequences will be very serious during the next election. Down the line, it is not too far.
In a country,
People
Mr. Salve,
it will be a fight.
May I add, Mr. Salve?
It will be a fight between
Mr. Salve,
corruption
may I
and
ask you
non-corruption.
something? Mr. Salve, one argument is put out, and I'm sure you put this argument, maybe you believe in it, that this is a very, draconian, anti-democratic. It leads to oligarchic situation. We want sensitive laws. Mr. Salve, the northeastern part of India, the states of Assam and the northeast have suffered under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act for decades. There is a lady who has been fasting there for over a decade and nobody has listened to her. Is the Armed Forces Special Powers Act not draconian?
Can we skip the
Not
rhetoric?
Draconian.
Can we skip the rhetoric?
No, it's
I have
not draconian. I'm
challenged these
asking you
laws.
a
I have
question.
fought against these. 1 minute. I am answering you.
Please do.
I have fought against draconian laws all my life as a constitutional lawyer. Pro bono, I had appeared against the Assam Police Powers Act way back in 1980 in the Delhi High Court. So I know about draconian laws. But that doesn't mean because there are other draconian laws, you must make a law like the Lokpal which throws our constitution into a dustbin. I'm sorry, I don't agree. And I don't agree that a handful of people draft a bill and then you say, all right,
Have it presented in Parliament. I'm sure you agree it should be presented in Parliament.
I'm sorry, I don't agree.
That it should be presented in Parliament? 1 minute.
I don't understand this notion of presented in Parliament.
Presented as in tabled in Parliament.
Committee is debating the terms. The select committee represents Parliament's interface with the people.
Due respect to Mr. Salve, Arnav, due respect to Mr. Salve, it is question of throwing into dustbin. It is not that, Arnav. It is something that what public wants to strengthen the future laws, whereby they will be having more comfortable
Can
anti-corruption
I ask him about a few clauses?
mechanism.
Will you explain?
See,
okay, yes, I want to go in across to a viewer.
What is the scope of the Lokpal and
1 minute. I have a viewer. I just want to go across to Sanjeev Prasad. This debate is getting heated. Sanjeev Prasad is a Times Now viewer. He's a senior corporate member. He's joining us from Jaipur. And on Times Now, we are taking more and more of our viewers on air so that all a cross-section of views is always maintained.
Arnav, I have a question for all the people who are for the bill. First of all, will they tell me what is the primary scope of the jurisdiction of the Lokpal? Is it corruption or is it something more than that?
Okay. Can I just take a view from Sanjeev Prasad? Sanjeev Prasad in Jaipur, what's your take, sir, on the ongoing debate? This is a standoff.
Yeah, no, well, I'll probably give a slightly different perspective if you look at and compare how a corporate or a company is run and how a country is run. At the top of any corporate is shareholders. They are the one who invest, they appoint a board, and that appoints a management team or a CEO. In a country's perspective, the shareholders are nothing but the taxpayers, the people. And the board is possibly the parliament, and the management team is your entire executive or judiciary. Now, no company or no corporate can tolerate if the shareholder loses control over the executive or over the management team or the board. Now, in any company, the final and the utmost power is of the shareholder. They have full rights to ask and seek accountability from the board and from the management team. In our country's situation, the shareholders are people and they have a right, if they feel that there is a lack of accountability, they have a full right to relook at the whole policies and procedures that have been made. Because apparently, despite the fact that the new regimes are brought in every 5 years, like in a company, a new management team can be brought in.
Point taken.
But if the policies and procedures
Point taken.
are not conducive, then you need to change those policies and procedures.
Point taken.